Hi there, welcome to Nonsense Whisky. My name's BMPF, and on today's episode we're going to be covering another travel retail exclusive. I do cover a lot of travel retail. I don't travel an awful lot. In 2019 I did travel more than I do on average for sure, but I also get a lot of travel retail stuff because people like, specifically today, my brother-in-law brought this back over from me. He lives out in Norway and he's picked this up for me in either airport, not sure exactly where. But this was a present for me, and if you checked out my collection video, if you haven't, please do go check that out. It's one of my favourite videos to make every year. You guys seem to enjoy it. But he treats me really well when it comes to the whiskies that he picks up for me. And this is but one of, I think, 3 that I have to cover for you guys. In any case, irrelevant information. Today we have a Highland Park. Now, I haven't covered a Highland Park for quite some time. Highland Park have kind of fell off my radar a little bit because of the expense that they are expecting us to pay for their stuff these days. The 12 remains a decently valued whiskey, but since they changed their bottling brand to this kind of slanted, conical, like tribal thing, I'm convinced that they've changed the liquid inside of it. It doesn't seem to taste the same as the whiskey I knew and loved beforehand, but it might just be because my palate's expanded a little bit. Who knows? In any case, today we have the Highland Park 14 Loyalty of the Wolf. Now, this is one of 4, which you can see on the back here, for travel retail exclusives. We've got a Spirit of the Bear non-age statement, which is apparently smoky and bold. The Loyalty of the Wolf, which we have here today, 14 years old, sweet and complex, allegedly, again. Wings of the Eagle, 16-year-old, spicy and elegant. And finally, Viking Pride Travel Retail Edition, 18-year-old, intense and balanced. Now, I don't usually do that. I don't usually read off of the back of the box, but I wanted you to know the other ones that are in the range. Very unlikely I will cover them on the channel unless opportunity presents itself, mainly based on the prices. Now, I have read online, obviously this was a present, so I didn't ask the guy who bought it for me how much he spent on it, but online they said it was around about €65, which overall isn't actually that bad when you do the maths. Now, this is a litre bottle, so the €65 on today's exchange rate on the day of filming is around about just over £55, which is again a little expensive for what I like to spend on whiskey. But when you consider the litre versus a 700ml bottle, this comes in at around about £45 for a normal sized bottle. We'll discuss at the end of the video whether I think I would have preferred it as a smaller bottle or a litre, but we'll get to that. Thankfully, they've done some good things to this, and that's a 72.3%. A little bit of an odd one. Not sure why they've done that. Couldn't find any information about it. If you know, let me know in the comments below. And it's also a natural coloured whiskey. Now, they make a lot of bones about saying that on the website. It's not on the box. It's not on the bottle, I don't think. And but they don't say anything about non-chill filtered, which leads me to believe it probably is that, just with the natural colouring. There you go. It's a mixture, standard pretty much Highland Park, a mixture of the ex-sherry cask vibes and the ex-bourbon cask, which is pretty normal for what they do. And just in case you aren't aware, Highland Park is a very lightly peated whiskey, but they use heather peat instead of the kind of normal peat that we get in like Islay and things like that, that kind of like boggy vegetal peat. This is a bit more of a light and floral smoky peat. You can really, I think it's what gives Highland Park away, I have to admit. But let's get onto the whiskey itself. Today, in a Jason Whiskey Wise glass. We do miss Jason. Hopefully he's enjoyed himself, and I do wish he would make a video or 2 just to let us know he's alright. But let's get into the nose on this and see how we're getting on. Now, it's a fairly typical Highland Park nose, I will say that. It's quite tasty nose, to be fair. It's for me, I have a note of apple crumble about it. It's kind of apple vibes with that kind of biscuity, but also sweet, sugary notes to it as well. There's definitely some vanilla in there, I guess from the ex-bourbon casks. On the nose, I'm not picking up any peat, but that might be just because I'm a big peat fan these days. I can't say for sure if you hate peat that you wouldn't smell a lot of peat on it, but I have to say, in comparison to some of the peat that I do drink, this is extremely light, if it's there at all on the nose. Let's get into the palate. So it's got an initial kind of maltiness to it, more of that biscuity note I was talking about. Very kind of mouth-watering. I will say that, like, although it tastes fairly thin in comparison to some of the whiskies I do like to drink. Big fan of high ABV whiskies at the moment. They tend to be a little bit more viscous, but yeah, it does taste a little thin, but definitely it's got that kind of mouth-watering element to it. After that maltiness has gone, I'm getting some kind of sweet honeyed notes there. There's definitely a spicy element there to it. I'm going to say cinnamony, kind of like spicy notes. A very, very, very light hint of heathery peat on the back end. Not a lot. It must be really low on the ppms. I have to say, if I knew somebody who was interested in trying peat, but typically doesn't like peat, Highland Park is generally where I send them anyway, because that's a good stepping stone. Ardmore, lightly peated, Highland Park, whatever you can afford from Highland Park is always a good way of saying. I always say to people, usually the 12. Gone are the days where you could pick up a good kind of 18-year-old Highland Park for less than £70, right? Thumbs up if you miss those days. I have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised by this. Highland Park have been a bit hit and miss with me in the last couple of years, especially the travel retail stuff that they've been putting out tends to be a bit like it kind of catches people out with the flashy, shininess of it all. But I have to say, I will enjoy this whiskey. Very, very light information on here, which is something I do actually like. I wish less whiskies would put so much marketing stuff on there. But, that said, Highland Park do love their marketing. If you go on their website, you're going to have a lot of Viking and wolf stuff rammed down your eyeballs about this. That I'm not going to tell you about that. That's not what I do on this channel. If you want to know more about that, you can go check them out on their websites. For me, it's all about just the liquid. Maybe a little bit of talking about the boxes we did earlier. But I'd have to say, if you're in the market for it and you're in front of the whole stand, you've tried everything else and you've been looking at this and thinking, should I, shouldn't I? It's all right. It's pretty good. I'll have to say that. It's not going to blow your socks off for sure. It's really reasonably good value, especially in today's climate. There are definitely better whiskies to try at travel retail, but if you're watching this video, I'm going to assume you've tried a lot of them already. There you go. That's my thoughts on the Highland Park 14. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the like button, all those lovely things that YouTube loves, and I'll see you again on another No Nonsense Whisky video.